Hot take.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to Coalition of the Sane, hashtag COTS hot take, another one. And a lot of times I don't like to be too clickbaity. I know a lot of people do hot takes and they want to concentrate on exactly what's happening at that time. And then they just sort of roll on in some kind of punditry fashion. When you think that's what happened in court and things like that, I did hit some of that. But I did talk about Mike Flynn lately. I like to talk about sort of a larger way of looking at things based on current events. And I waited to do this one because I wasn't quite sure how I was going to address it because I was pretty angry about it. And we all know about Kristi Noem and her killing her dog and what she described as an unneutered goat. So, what is it about it that makes me so angry, besides the obvious? And the fact that I'm a dog owner, was actually raised on a farm. I'm actually a bit of a country boy, 143 acres in West Virginia. I have 50 acres here in Virginia on a river. I do like to fish. I do like to hunt. Right. I don't do it as much lately because I'm too dang busy, but I do love to do things in the country. I love rural living. My grandfather was a cattle farmer, my great grandfather, a hog farmer. They also obviously had corn, things like that that they grew. So, it was a pretty cool life that I got to live and I got to learn a lot of cool things. And one of those was putting animals out of their misery when they were going through a tough time. It was also trying to protect your garden. I mean, we hunted groundhogs, we did things like that. But you don't see a lot of people that actually participate in farming or doing things that are unsavory or having to kill animals or put them out of their misery. They don't brag about it. I think what got me about Christi Noem was the fact that there's this real cruelty that's put out there in a phony way. And it also calls into question what was she actually thinking, or what were her editors thinking, or her handlers or consultants or her ghostwriter when they thought it was a great idea to put a story in about killing a dog because she hated the dog. And the aspects of how she killed that dog or why she killed that dog are so egregious that people like me or other people who actually live in the country or do country things or live on a farm or have a rural background, like me, taught to shoot at 8 years old. Why we thought that was so heinous is because it's the cruelty. It's the fact that she thought that would play to a certain population or person. But it also brought to mind a memory of somebody else, and that was Mike Huckabee's son, David Huckabee, who was fired for killing a dog with a friend of his. Now, he was 18, his friend was 19, but the stories of that were also very disturbing. And what gets me about Christi Noem and David Huckabee from 1998 is that the aspects of the story seem to keep changing, or the reasons for doing what they did, or it's opaque, or it doesn't make any sense. And when you look at the 98 version of when David Huckabee killed a dog, Mike Huckabee's son, it's that there's different stories about how that happened. What we do know is that he helped kill a dog and he was fired for it, which my guess is meant it wasn't the greatest of circumstances. But again, why the cruelty? When we look at people that hurt animals or kill animals for no reason, or have to find an excuse to justify that type of cruelty, that should bother you. Now, when you look at the GOP, it does seem to be a bit of a, I would say, I don't want to call it a Venn diagram between cruelty, xenophobia, racism, and killing dogs. But as a former member of the GOP, it does seem to me that cruelty seems to always be the point, or the ability to define it in a way where you can actually get a good slap on the back because you did something that was actually cruel or somehow went to the American fabric of rugged individualism, which means killing animals in a gravel pit or hanging a dog from a tree. So what do we do about it? I was just looking at another video when you talk about cruelty as the point and how that actually goes over different types or aspects of our society. We talk about killing animals or cruelty to people. You have this new Missouri Secretary of State candidate, Valentina Gomez, who decided it would be great to have a flamethrower to actually torch books that said queer on them. Who is she appealing to? Obviously, she's appealing to the Christian right, the nationalist right, but she's also appealing to Mar-a-Lago, and she's appealing to this new type of cruelty that's been unleashed from the basement. Sort of this crazy mouth-breathing, glue-sniffing thing where killing things because they need to be killed, or being cruel to people, or saying that somehow, homosexuality or alternative lifestyles are evil or Satanists. And that wraps into conspiracy theories with globalists and deep state, and that wraps into, drag queens. I mean, on and on and on. And again, it comes down to it's a dehumanization of others that's cruel. but it's also the cruelty that you have to define yourself based on what you kill or based on how tough you are, which in a lot of instances, it seems these are beta people that are masquerading as cruel alphas, as they like to define themselves, when in reality, they're just dumbasses. And that's the thing, is that do you want somebody who had the judgment, like a Christi Noem, to put that in a book, that she killed these animals and why she killed them, whether it was using the word hate or even the weird circumstances of it, which is just bizarre. I mean, who would even put that in a book? And that's the thing too, is I've written books. Why would you even put that in a book? If it's something that you felt bad about or good about, you killing a dog or a goat somehow separates you from the other candidates and gives you a leg up in the race to be vice president and to belly crawl to Mar-a-Lago. Yeah, I just don't see it. And when you're talking about back in the past, when you talk about the Huckabees, you see what Sarah Sanders Huckabee is doing in Arkansas, and you think about the Huckabee story when Mike Huckabee was running for president, and when it came out about his son killing a dog, there does seem to be a pattern of cruelty that's actually completely out of the basement. It's almost like monsters that have risen up. And I wonder, is this what we have to deal with now in perpetuity or for generations? This is a generational fight to stomp out this type of ridiculousness. What it showed me about those like Kristi Noem is she should be nowhere near the governor's mansion, but sadly she is, and she should be nowhere near the White House. You know, Adam Kinzinger brought up that he thought she was pretty normal when she was in Congress. Maybe she was, maybe she acted that way, but maybe your true nature comes out when somebody allows it to come out. And I think that that idiocy has been mobilized and anger has been mobilized by Donald Trump. And when you think about this Missouri Secretary of State candidate, cruelty is a point where she's using a fire extinguisher on books where it says queer, which is specifically to destroy that lifestyle or to make her seem tough or to make her seem more Christian or more godlike. I just don't see Jesus burning books with a flamethrower. I just don't see that. I just don't see it. And I think we're to a point when you look at these three examples that are connected through the cruelty, which two specifically with dogs, but it's also the symbolic cruelty of burning a lifestyle of people that aren't hurting you or harming you in any way. You don't go after things that can't harm you indiscriminately and then brag about it. And I think that's what you're seeing not only with Kristi Noem and with David Huckabee when you're actually killing animals, but I think the flip is when you have people like this idiotic Secretary of State candidate for Missouri burning books with a flamethrower and thinking that's great. We have a real problem in this country. And I think it's up to the coalition of the sane to stomp that out and to go after these idiots and call them out, and to do so with prejudice. Thank you. Hope you have a great day. Thanks for listening one more time, and let's get to work.